issues can affect the resolution of the case. In other words, you might score prison, but you'll get probation with a mental health plan and be in treatment and monitored by a forensic specialist and maybe a therapist, as opposed to having to go to the state hospital or prison. So we want to do those things. We want to divert people from state hospital as much as we want to divert people from prison. And the forensic peers are people that can really help with that diversion. You know, you as a forensic specialist, you get an hour with them once a month, or if you're doing competency once a week, but you got an agenda. And then if you have somebody who's talking to them and visiting with them, and if they can drop by any time, it's going to make a difference in how your clients make those adjustments into the community and help them stay out of those institutions. So that's what we're doing, but a lot of people don't know what we do, and we're not very well organized. That's the goal. Yeah.
So you've been a forensic peer specialist for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen other forensic peer specialists maybe burn out. What do you think the key is for, you know, being able to...
Well, I tell you, the thing about being a peer specialist is it's just as important for me in my recovery to work with the people who are working on their recovery. Everything I do, I mean, my recovery is so much stronger because of what I do. Not just because I'm looking at my past, sitting in the room with me, you know, because that is my past. I've been sitting there. But also the fact that helping people is so critical to get out of the self-centeredness that goes with substance abuse and mental illness, right? So when I'm helping other people, I'm feeling good about myself. And I don't know how many of you guys have interacted with clients who come in and basically they're hopeless. You know, and my job is to instill hope, basically. If you want to sum it up, give hope. I used to sit where you are, and now I'm sitting here. You know, and I've got the same kinds of experiences. Yeah.
If we're in a district that doesn't have a forensic peer specialist, is there anything we can do to expedite that? Or
Well, that's what we're working on.
Where you at?
Ron and Deesburg, Lake County?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that peer specialists can really help with. If you have somebody, even if they're working, like, say you live in Ocala, but you're working in Meridian. If you could go to a client who lives in Ocala before you came to work or on the way home, just think of how much more helpful it would be than having a client who has to drive all the way to Gainesville once a month, and then otherwise is out of touch, except maybe by telephone.
And it would be like working with your agency.
Yeah.
Like, if you're seeking funding, throw that in the mix. Like, we need funding for these things. And also keep in mind we just hired some forensic peer specialists to work with the state hospital. So they, like, if you have clients in there, there's peers there to help with the transition. So, but push it in your agency, you know, that.
Anytime you have any input on a grant, always include peer specialists as part of it, because they will fund it. It's evidence-based, and there's a big push in the country to use peer specialists, because they have a kind of relationship with the client that no clinician can ever have. Even if the clinician is in recovery themselves, sitting in the office, that's not their job. Their job is the therapy and the case management. It's not to identify as effective, well, I go to meetings too, or I have to take my meds on time just like you do. And if I don't take my meds, bad things happen. So, is there
Any other questions for William?
I just want to touch on, I was in Tallahassee for the Behavioral Health Day a couple weeks ago, and there was one of the women who was with us was a peer, and she brought up this issue about people, you know, not being able to get with your background and stuff and everything. And the legislators seemed very receptive to that, so I know there's a lot of advocacy out there.
I'll tell you, some of the things the legislature does that is really annoying. You remember that this summer, July 1st, they removed some of the disqualifying charges in your past, but the language of the statute is that they may. So even though the legislatures decide they're not disqualifying, they still have to go through the appeal process. and even though they've already decided they don't disqualify, because of the language of the statute. So yeah, there's things like that, and that's our legislative agenda. Well, yeah, changing it, but changing it in the legislature is different than changing it in the agencies. Agencies are all, you know, certification board and the appeals board are all totally on board with these changes we advocate. So once we get everything organized, and DCF now has a forensics tab. So our work will be there and available to everybody on
Great.
DCF. Okay?
Yes, we went over the network of care. So, and also, while you're here, if you know any peers that are interested in being in the work group, definitely shoot me an email. I'm gonna email all you guys out probably Monday to send you the PowerPoints and all the information again, so you'll have my contact. So if you know of any peers that wanna be on the work group, I think you guys are open.
Yeah, right. And one of the most difficult things about forensic peers is a lot of people work in the field, but they can't get certified. So building a forensic network is important to get your non-certified peers involved, because we're going to try to change the laws, but even then, non-certified peers are just as qualified as certified peers if your employer believes that to be the case. You know, the state doesn't decide who's going to be a good peer, your employer does. Right? So some of these people can't get certified, but they would be very good at what they do. And we want to network with those people as well. Just because they have a certification eliminates a lot of people in this field. So, in fact, I was just talking to him. He's got forensic peers working there that can't get certified at Day Springs.
Yeah.
And I'll be in touch with them shortly.
Okay. Thank you, William. Give him a big hand. Thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
for stopping by. All right.
Well, she's the one who hired me. And I'll tell you the story.
Oh, no.
I was a college professor. And of course, my addiction and mental illness ruined all that for me. And I was homeless, living in my truck and stuff. And I was on disability, had a ticket to work program. I went there every Wednesday looking for teaching jobs, something I could do in my profession. For 2 years, nothing, everything I applied for, they didn't even answer because of my background. And one day she says, well, why don't you try this? Go out to Meridian. And I said, well, I never even took a psychology course in college, much less be an expert on this stuff. I don't know anything about this stuff. But they sent me out there and she hired me on the spot. She said, you know, I've been in jail, been in mental institutions, been in rehabs, you're exactly what we're looking for. And I've been there ever since. So Leah knows.
We've had our ups and downs.
Well, I had to learn the job, you know.
It's all been good. All right, thank you, William. All right, so we are